Welcome everyone for the third day of the Grand Multilingual event, and we're starting the day with Soofia Amin, who was here with us last year actually. And Soofia is an assistant head teacher at Kensington Primary School, and she's the specialist lead in education for multilingualism. She's also supporting schools in London, but also across the UK, and I think abroad as well. And her work was recognized by the EAR Academy through the EAR Quality Mark Gold Award and when winning the Pearson Primary School of the Year. So thank you very much for taking part again in this event, Soofia. Thank you for being here.
And thank you, Yoshito, for inviting me. I'm excited for a second year in a row of discussing amazing topics about schools and
You,
education.
you do so much in your school. It's really nice to be able to share it with everyone.
Mhm.
And so just to for the people who didn't follow us last year, so last year we discussed something your school does that I had never heard of before, and it's that you got rid of MFL and replaced it by multilingualism as a subject. So it goes perfectly with the topic of today, which is valuing students' languages. So if some of you haven't watched this interview, I invite you to watch it later. You can go on the playlist from last year. And I can also add the link in the description of this video. But it goes really hand in hand. So I'm looking forward to explore a bit more what you're doing. And so this year, we got many teachers requesting session on translanguaging. So we'll be discussing what you do in your school in the lesson, but also outside the classroom too, because as we've seen other interviews, the environment of the school is quite important if you want to do something like this. So we're going to start with the first question. First, could you describe a bit your school context?
Yeah. So my school is Kensington Primary. It's based in Newham. I'm actually part of a trust. So there's a Tapscott Learning Trust. We're five schools. And this year, changing position, I'm working across all of the schools. So hopefully able to implement a bit more across more schools within my region. But my school is a three-form entry, 650 pupils. It has around 50 languages. I can never say exactly the number because of the high mobility rates. We have children leave and join us quite quickly. This week alone, I think we had 12 children join. So I met them all on Friday because I'm across the other schools. And actually, one of the boys I met, he was from Malaysia, and at home he speaks Tamil and reads and writes and speaks Chinese and Malay and
Ah,
English. And I just thought,
wow.
oh my goodness, it was so exciting. I get so excited when I meet children and learn that. But anyway, so we have a very high mobility rate. So children join and leave us quite quickly. We're really fortunate to be quite a popular school. So lots of children do come to us, but we're a melting pot. So where we are located, a lot of people have just moved to the country, then they move on from there. So we have children that have families that are in temporary accommodation, or they've just got their first bit of employment or student visas. And so because of that, we have quite a high turnover with pupils. And within the school, like, for example, all the children that joined us on Friday, I was going through all of the names and checking them all in class. And I would say out of all of those, for example, for those 12 pupils, one was born and brought up in this country.
One was
One
both.
was born and brought up in this country from the UK out of those 12, just to
Okay.
give you an example. So out of
Wow.
the
Okay.
11 pupils were all from abroad, varying times, so like 2 years to 1 year to like a week or 2 weeks just in the country.
Okay.
So it's super diverse, but also with
Yeah.
varying levels of English proficiency. So I say those that can't follow a lesson 100% in English, those that are multilingual in the true sense, I would say that is a good proportion of our pupils. And it's very hard to measure this because it changes constantly, as you know. So children will come and some
Yeah.
of them will gain English really quickly, and some of them might be reliant on their home language for a bit longer, and that's okay. But I'd say a good 40 to 50% of our pupils, our work has to be adapted for.
Okay. So it's really like you have to take into account multilingualism in your school, and you're doing really well. So we're going to dive a bit into that. I just would like to acknowledge those of you, those who are following live. There's Franklin who's saying good morning. Franklin has been running a marathon. He's been joining most of their lives.
Oh,
So hello,
amazing.
Franklin.
Nice to see you, Franklin. Is it Franklin you said?
Yeah, Franklin, yeah.
Oh, nice to see you, Franklin.
And could you, to start with translanguaging, could you give us a definition of translanguaging and also maybe an example of what it can look like in your lessons to give a concrete idea of what you mean?
So it's really hard because as I've been learning since we changed our approach and also definitions, there are lots of definitions around translanguaging. But if I was to simplify it, I would say translanguaging is when we allow when pupils use all of their languages in school to help them learn, think, and express themselves.
Okay, yeah,
So that for me, that is translanguaging. So when pupils can use all of their languages
yeah,
in learning
yeah.
is the essence of translanguaging. And how they do it and in which ways they do it. There's not one size fits all issue to that's what I've learned. But in a very simple term, that's how I would encapsulate it.
Okay. So I've seen in your some of your presentations, etc., that you have, for example, books where students, so write like I don't know a body, and when they annotate it, it can be in their languages. Um, could you give us a few other examples of what is allowed in your classrooms in terms of languages?
So I think for us, if a child is not able to access the full content in English, they should be allowed to continue learning in their home language. And I think that's the real difference. Obviously, we are still teaching them English, but before, it was very much a child should just learn the English vocabulary and that's it. And that can really limit a child's learning because they're learning some basic words around, even if it's science, it could be equipment and it could be some key vocabulary and that's it. Then they're stuck. They're just sitting there looking at their work. Whereas why not allow them the freedom to use their home language so for example, it could look like a child in year 5, they have a text in English, and that child using that text and just translating it and understanding what that means first before looking at the English words and unpicking some of the difficult English words, actually just understanding what the text is in their home language so their understanding is matched up. In another way, it could look like a child in year 3 who is speaking to a child in the same home language to understand some content, to talk about something in the home language first before moving on to learning. So it can be done as an endpoint. We have had teachers that challenge pupils and say, oh, now you've done it really well in English because English is really improved. Why don't you switch it now and see how you do it in your home language? Or a child will say it themselves, which is even
Yeah,
better. But
yeah,
it's very fluid. And also each child, how they use their language or how proficient they are, it's really different. And how much a child is able to say or express themselves in their learning, it's really different. So in a way, you're kind of managing a sea of languages in your classroom, and you just have to, really good practitioners know how to navigate and to realize that actually this pupil, yeah, they're getting stuck on some really simple words, and actually their home language can really leverage this. They can actually sit there and do some deeper learning. But the point is a child should be learning.
yeah. Okay, thank you very
It's like
much.
we're putting children into a waiting room and saying, just hold on until you're
Yeah,
fully immersed in English, and then you can fully learn with us. And that's not
yeah,
fair.
yeah. Oh, thank you for this very detailed definition examples. Um, and so, because we talk about translanguaging, um, how much do you think incorporating translanguaging practices in lessons enables a smooth start in your school for students who are new to the school, to the country, to English? So you gave a few examples, but uh, would you be able to
Yeah.
expand a bit on that?
I think it's actually essential. So we're not saying, so I think sometimes people take translanguaging as the literal sense that a child is just translating. But if you look at translanguaging as how I said that child should be able to think and express themselves. So from the day the child comes in for a meeting with us to the point where they're welcomed in class, because languages are part of that whole journey coming into school. So I know I wasn't here last week, Thursday, but all the senior leaders, including the head of school, by the way, the head teacher and the deputy head, they were meeting families that day. And I know what I'm really proud of is that everybody carries that message. It's not me. So even at those meetings, the parents, the senior leadership are finding out, oh my God, what languages? Oh, we really value it. It's amazing. You should be really proud of the fact. So the parents suddenly are kind of relieved that, oh, actually, so it's really important that message is passed on right as soon as they come in.
Yeah.
And then in the classroom, when the child joins the classroom, the teacher will straight away make sure the child's name is pronounced properly. Does anybody else speak that same language? Oh my goodness, we think it's such an amazing thing that you can speak this two, three, or four languages, whichever that may be, and which one are you most comfortable using in class? So that child again is introduced to using their home language in a really comfortable manner. And then a teacher, I think it's really important that a child should be learning with whichever's easiest. So sometimes some children are more reluctant because they feel shy. So they might
Yeah.
just want to stick to English, and that's okay. So I don't think there is a, oh no, you must use your home language now, because that's not what this is about.
Yeah.
What this is about is gently inviting children in to use all of their identity, bring all of their resources into learning. And they might not have been exposed to that before.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fear in some of the communities, Yoshito, where they have been told or they've been taught to hide their language,
Yeah.
or they're apologizing for their language, or they're trying to reassure us that, no, don't worry, we will speak English, we all speak English. And so it's really the onus on us to make sure the message is clear and that the child is then now feeling comfortable that actually, oh, I can speak to this child in my language and that's okay. If I don't understand something, oh, actually, I can write in this if I'm able to more fluently in my home language to access the learning, and I'm still part of learning. You know,
That really,
if a child can write fluently in Tamil, for example, or Bengali or Spanish, then they can maybe write a whole page in their language to respond to an academic question. But maybe if we gave them it just in English, they'd write a few words.
yeah.
So at the beginning, teachers, really effective practitioners just let children express themselves whichever way they feel comfortable. So a child then gently comes into learning. And then as they're introduced into their class, and then they are getting familiar with the language and how the teacher and English sounds, and then they start learning English a bit more solidly and structured.
Okay. And to check the work, so for example, if for example you ask a student to write a story,
Yeah.
to check maybe how the ideas are articulated, etc. Uh, how does the teacher do it? Do they use technology or how do
Yeah,
they do
Google Lens, and we all use Google Lens. So just take a picture of it, have a look. But also, we do keep a regular note of all the staff and who speaks what and what languages we have. So
it?
it's normally quite useful to have a pool of people. Even now, we have a big volunteer group at school of community members, families, and so we're always picking up seeing what languages we have, so that you can pull somebody in and say, "Oh, could you read the story in that?" Even if that adult can read a story with that child and ask questions, then you can understand. But yeah, we use Google Lens or any app that we can use to take a picture and see what if that's making sense in English. So a really good way is I know there's a couple of year two and year three teachers, they'll just write under there what the child's actually written,
Okay.
so that
I
we
think
can
it's
see that it makes sense.
you also pointed out that something that's very important is like using the resources you have. So not just technology, but also the community. And I think your
Absolutely.
school is very good at involving parents into the school life.
Yeah, absolutely. They're a massive resource. Families are the biggest resource that you have. And we have a lot of barriers and technicalities that make it harder for them to join in. And it can be hard when parents or families don't know the boundaries. Like, for example, we'll have families that want to go and see the children in class quickly. Like, oh, can we say hello to our child? But very quickly they learn that there has to be certain protocol when they're in schools helping us
Yeah,
out. And that's okay. It's like being part of a big family, you know.
yeah,
You have to manage everybody, but the advantages are far greater having them in, because schools with just so everybody knows, we're a state school, we're not a private school. We don't have any money. We are strapped for cash. There's most schools in the UK, possibly in debt, and we don't have enough staff. You know, we're struggling staff-wise. We have a one-class teacher. Send again, you know, we have to be very creative with our send needs. So it's not like we're working with lots of resource. We're not.
yeah.
We
I
don't
think
have
that's
lots of space. So it's really important for people to know that whatever I'm sharing is good quality uh, knowledge of all of the schools, so teaching staff and SLT.
yeah. Thank you very much. And so we talked about translanguaging inside the classroom, but I think because I think it's what people think about or know about at first when they they learn about translanguaging, they learn about what happens in the classroom. But it's also important to know that it's not just in the classroom, it's the whole school environment that invites this practice to take place. And so I would like to discuss with you what you do outside the four walls of the classroom. So what do you do or what do you have outside the classrooms to value students' languages and cultures? Can you give us a few examples?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really important point that you've picked up on, Yoshito. So thank you for that. And I think it's something for everybody to be aware of. I know so as I said, I train lots of schools. I go to deliver training in secondaries and primaries, and often it's one person who's doing the work. So one person or a group of people that are doing their work, and it's never sustainable because it's one person. But this was born out of, so I'm in leadership team, fortunately, and then actually buy-in from the leadership team. So it was part of our school development plan when we first started it. So as I said, most educators on here will know, in the UK, we have something called an SDP, the School Development Plan. So it was part of that about 4 years ago that we said we're going to have multilingualism, whole school approach. So that's a really powerful tool because then everything has to inform it. And people, CPD is part of it, the Vision School Vision's part of it. And actually having it as part of a school vision means that it comes everywhere and it grows in lots of different ways that you wouldn't even imagine. So just some examples would possibly be, I'd say, performances. So a lot of our performances, a USP of our performances are languages, and I never know. I always get people like year group saying, "Oh, Soofia, if you not come to make sure you come, you'll have a lovely surprise." And I always see, because that's the bit that makes parents really emotional and happy. And also all children can join in because if a child's just coming from abroad and they're from Romania and they can say a line or sing a song in Romanian, that's what they'll do.
Ah,
You
okay.
know, why can't they? So it's kind of flipping it on its lid. So seeing that as a route, so it's celebrated in that way. Displays, so you'll see teachers often putting some of the children's work or getting children to write in different languages. So right now, school started at Kensington. So as part of the first 2 weeks, they always have multilingual lessons to have a multilingual aspect to the first week of school. So all the
Ah,
classes, when I was going around the first 2 weeks, well, they were all without me being there, just going in, and they all have different language practices that they're doing for the display work. Showing the language picture, the linguistic diversity in their classroom, showing off the flags, showing off children writing and children displaying all their work in different languages. That's a really nice opening to a school. And
yeah,
then we have I think languages are everywhere at Kensington, intentionally, unintentionally, because we have staff that are involved, senior leaders that are involved, and parents and community that are there. So because it's something that everybody feels really strongly about, that message has that buy-in, everybody is delivering it in different parts of
yeah,
the school. So you'll come in, we have a sign that people will write on that it says welcome in different languages. You go into school, we have a multilingual library that we set up, just it's been the second year now. And that's growing. And that has a real presence in our school. Everybody gets involved with that. Children love sitting there, and that's a great place for languages again. But also one thing I'm just going to go back. I know this is not about the classroom, but just to say that we do have in the curriculum, we have languages as part of the curriculum, all home languages. So we have the multilingual curriculum, and then we have promoting first languages in the curriculum, in the communication curriculum. So
yeah.
because they are taught in the lessons, then again, it will be in the class books. It will be, so it's part of and again, that's from Wallow. If anybody knows of Wallow, search it up,
I can put the link as well.
WOLLOW, Wallow. Yeah, Wallow curriculum, which is across, I've kind of done it from year one up to year six, and I've devised that again this year. So all those key structures within schools lend themselves to it. So every time I pop in, when I'm in Kensington, I'm in there once or twice a week now. I'm not in there as much. I'll have people pulling me that, Sophie, I've got to do this here for my language thing in this classroom. What do you think about this? Or I had somebody saying, Sophie, can we have a mural here? I've got this idea. How do you think that sounds? So it's being carried without me being there because everybody believes in it.
Ah, that's so important to have because if there is just one person, as you said, often it's one person or a little group of people.
Yeah.
Once they leave, if
Yeah.
it's not implemented in the school, that it just disappears.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can tell the difference. I mean, that was me many years ago. It was me in my little room, supporting the children that came in, going to teachers what to do, what, how you should teach the children, helping teachers in the classroom. If I wasn't there, it wouldn't happen. And now, when senior leaders carry that message, when senior leaders are like pushing the multilingual approach, it comes from them. The head of school was saying to me, she rang me on the day that all the children joined because I wasn't there for the first time. She rang me at the end of the day saying, Soofia, don't worry, it all went well. And then she said, somebody was saying, she said, one family, when I was sitting with them, she said they were asking me, oh, what's my job here? And I said, oh, I'm the head of school. She said, I didn't want to tell them because I don't want them to feel intimidated. So I said, oh, I'm head of school. And they started going, oh, you're a head teacher. Oh my goodness, you're sitting with us. And she said, why wouldn't I? You know, our families are such a big resource and their languages and they really take that message seriously there.
Yeah,
And if I'm there, they'll be like, oh, this is Mr. Mean who we're telling you about. And, Mr. Mean, we're just telling them about that. And it's not something that happens as a performance, but it happens all the time, Yoshito. So I think it is really important that that buy-in happens from a whole school point of view.
yeah.
Even if you have a person assigned to it, you need to have whole staff training, you need to have CPD, you need to have pedagogy, and you need everybody to ask those awkward questions and be challenged and have a safe space where they can talk about their beliefs around languages and what they were taught and their misconceptions so that then we can all have that proper conversation and buy into this vision.
And I have a few follow-up questions to this. So you said that a few years ago that was me, I was on my own, etc. Now it's the whole school. And so you said 4 years ago, the leadership team started getting involved and putting the school plan. What what happened? So I'm assuming when you said you were on your own, it was before these 4 years.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
okay,
I'd say before COVID. I mean, so I've been at Kensington for 11 years now.
okay,
I came from college. I was a college lecturer, got pulled into school, and I was trying to change practice there. It was going really well, and I had lots of good practitioners that knew how to adapt learning, I would say, but
okay.
some obviously probably a bit more reluctant. And then many people might not know this who are listening, but we changed our curriculum. So our head teacher, so I was there. Then after about 5 years, I was put into leadership teams. So I became an assistant head. And then our head teacher at that time, Ben Levinson, changed the curriculum because he felt like we had the national curriculum and then we were doing lots of additional things. And when that happened and they changed the curriculum, COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then we launched the curriculum over lockdown, so which
Oh,
was
okay.
emotional health curriculum, all the things that we thought were meaningful for children. And this was done with experts and with everybody doing lots of research over a couple of years. It didn't just happen. And then as we were devising the curriculum, there was the language element, the MFL bit, we were teaching Mandarin at the time for half an
Okay.
hour a week with these Mandarin teachers. And the question, the SLT, they were really challenging lots of preconceived ideas and why are we having it this way? What is the purpose of having a Mandarin that's not taught well? Children don't remember it. And then we have all these languages that we're ignoring. And this
Okay.
is where it changed to promoting all languages. And then it was me looking at CPD myself, like how does this look? And then multilingualism coming up as a giant in my research. And me sharing research with staff as part of my CPD, and everybody saying, oh, wait a minute. Actually, my class, instead of being 80% EAL, teachers coming up to me saying, oh my goodness, Sophia, I have 3 languages in my classroom. I have 4 languages. Most children speak 4 or 3 languages. So it was that mindset
Yeah.
shift change because of good quality CPD and looking at research and
Okay.
practice.
Okay. Thank you very much. And so, how important is it to have the students' languages and cultures physically present, taking space in the school? Because you said you spent the first 2 weeks creating all these displays, etc. So, why is it important and how important is it?
Okay, so there's two things that we need to look at. Obviously, the fact of we want children to do well in schools. We want them to do academically well. We want them to achieve really well in reading, writing, and learning, obviously. But then there's an identity as well. There's their well-being part of a child, which we take really seriously at Kensington. So we have emotional health curriculum, and actually identity is your multilingual identity. Like what makes you you, Yoshito? What is your identity? And if you were to go to a university now and you were allowed to show off your identity, you would feel probably whole in that classroom because now actually everyone knows me not just the English talking me, but they know the full Yoshito, the full skills that you have, and you're able to bring all of it, and they all understand that you all see things differently and your identity is recognized. So I think having that in the school helps us secure the children's identity, and children bring all of themselves into the classroom and they are happy and they're secure and they're proud of their identities. And that is a massive difference because when we started this, I think children were a bit embarrassed.
Yeah.
They were definitely embarrassed. They're not used to talking about themselves. I myself have I've born and brought up here, kept my identity hidden at school always because no one talks about it. So even for myself, bringing my Urdu side into school it's a shift. Like I don't understand it because it feels wrong. But actually, the power it gives those children that speak my language, that they can see themselves in an educator, is important, right? But actually, this is really bringing your whole self is quite open and it's quite vulnerable, but actually, it makes you really proud. So to have children be proud of their story is really important. And I think it gives a good grounding to their self-identity and then to their learning.
Yeah. And when they see that all around it talks about like all the various cultures that there are from in their class, in their school, it gives them like an okay, you can also express yourself and be who you are.
You know what? I was walking up, so I was walking up some new children to their classrooms on Friday morning,
Huh?
and I had a new TA who was probably just a bit ahead of me on the stairs, so she could hear me. But I was talking to these children. That was one of the boys who was from Malaysia, who has like who's
Yeah.
literate and can speak and read and write in three languages. And I was talking to them, and there's another boy who speaks three languages in year five, also Arabic, Urdu, and Gujarati. So I was talking to them about their language. Oh my God, it's amazing. This is what we do here. And I was saying to them, your brain is like a Ferrari. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's like a Ferrari because you have a normal car. One of the analogies I read someone wrote once, and your brain's like it's working. Your engine is so fast that you're working like a Ferrari. And then she was on the stairs and she turned around. She's like, oh my goodness, that's such a good analogy. I never thought of they're saying for herself because she speaks. And I just thought, look, this is it, right? This is the truth of the matter. If we don't talk about it, how are we going to change people? How can people realize what they have? Because no one's told us, Yoshito. I was never told. So I think the messaging around this is really important because the more people can relay this message, the more people can feel like, oh, actually, I can, like Tamil and Malayalam or Sinhala or whichever, even a very kind of difficult language that nobody's really heard of. I had a boy who spoke, was it? Oh, I can't remember. It's a very, very, very minority language in India that I'd never heard of. It begins with an O. I can't remember it. I remember him coming and everyone getting excited, but just for him to be able to show off that and think that, oh, this is amazing. And then hopefully they'll keep that and that'll be part of their linguistic repertoire as they grow up. That's what we want. We don't want them to lose these languages.
Yeah. It's so yeah, it's really motivating to hear you talk like this. But and I remember the first time I spoke with you, I said that whatever all the things you're doing in your school, it's really what I thought was a dream. Like it would be great if this would be a reality and you're doing it in your school. So it's so inspiring. And so in this, so people who are watching this interview might be a few steps back or quite a few steps back. If there is nothing done yet in their school, is there any simple thing they can start with? So it can be displays, or how would you say a classroom teacher could start valuing their students' languages and cultures? What would be the maybe first step or
Yeah, I mean, I think the first step is if you have the time, first learn about it. Look at a bit of look at some of the key bits around multilingualism. Just Google it. Have a look at. We had Roberta Filippi on here recently. I mean, was it on Friday?
yeah, on Friday, yeah.
Yeah, or WAMCAM, I would say, look at their research, which really changed our practice, which is multilingual identity. Just have a read of something so you understand for yourself and think about yourself, your own experience with languages. And I
Okay.
say this first, Yoshita, because it's really important that we understand ourselves. what are we thinking about these languages? Because you might think, oh, I can put a display up, I can call children that bring their languages in. If I myself think my language isn't important, or I myself think, oh, I learned a bit of French, it's not, I don't know anything, I don't know languages, then you need to really understand, why do you think that?
Mm.
Okay, because everywhere I go, I always start with the practitioner first. Why do you believe that about your language? Even if it's you're a monolingual, you speak English only, but you might have relatives that speak a bit of Welsh, or you have a different dialect, or you did GCSE in another language. Why do you think that's not valuable? Right. So look at yourself first, understand yourself first, what languages you're exposed to and what your beliefs are, and then look at your class or look at your setting and think, then you will see those children and then you'll be able to invite their languages in. So I would say get to know your children's languages. And that's not as simple as like, what language do you speak? And they just put their hand up and tell you, they write about it. But their children, languages are complicated, as you
Yeah,
know. Languages are complicated. Relationship with languages are complicated. Some people that have had a difficult journey to England, or they've been in war, or they've been they've gone through trauma. They might have not want to talk about their language, and that's okay, because
yeah,
to understand your pupils first, have an open discussion about what being multilingual means and the power of being multilingual before you bring in those languages, because pupils will feel reluctant. You can say to them, be proud of your language, but they won't understand that. So you do have to do a bit of teaching
yeah,
around this. It's really important, which is why I said inform yourself and then inform those learners in your class. And then you get them to invite their languages in. Don't just say to them, tell me your language. Oh, no, no, half my class don't speak another language. No, no, they don't really want to talk about it. I hear that a lot. But of course, they don't want to talk about it because you haven't explained it to them. You don't understand it yourself. And it's okay not to understand it. I never understood it myself until I started working with academics on the research.
yeah,
And it's really important to, unlearn what you've learned.
yeah. I
We
think,
have a very monolingual education. It's a great education system here, but it's very monolingual. And to understand a multilingual, you can't put it into a monolingual framework. So you really have to understand yourself, what you've been taught, and really then understand that children need to be taught what languages mean first. Make sure you all have the right understanding and then bring those languages in. Then you'll see it change. Then it's like a spark. You can't, it will light up your school. It really will. But just get the CPD right, get the knowledge right first.
yeah, okay, thank you. And I think that there's one thing you said that I would like to pick on. It's you said you can't just say to a child, be proud of your languages because they won't know what it means. And that's really something I felt for like, a long time during my teenagers, etc. When people were saying multilingualism is a superpower. I was thinking they just say that to make me feel good, and
Yeah.
it's not true. And I think it's the same thing, like be proud. If you're not proud and you don't know what you can be proud of, until you feel it, you won't understand. So you need to, so like all the things you're doing with the teachers who are being curious about the students' languages, or the history, and getting other students as well being curious. Like you said, the child who spoke a dialect from India felt straight away very important because he spoke another language. So I think it's, yeah, all these experiences combined that make them feel proud. It's not just be proud and you can't just
Yeah,
suddenly be
exactly.
proud. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And as we know, language is linked very strongly to identity.
Hmm.
And as I said, it's a very complicated picture. Some parents have met, or I know, have been told really bad things, possibly in their language, or they've been taught in a very different way. And
Yeah.
so there's for myself as well, I had years of not understanding the importance of my home language. Only doing this work did I realize how important my own home language was. And then I can share it with my family and my relatives as well. But it's a real unlearning you have to do. So yeah, you have to just be open to learning. And I think it's great as educators that we are always learning something, that we should be open to. It's okay to have a wrong understanding. It's okay to not know what that means.
I think that's one strength of at least in England, the way we work as teachers is that we're constantly trying to learn new things and being on top of like the new research and trying to apply it in our lessons. Sometimes it's a bit overwhelming, but at least we always try to improve.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think with multilingualism, it's in education, it's in schools, it's everywhere. You can't deny it. Lots of areas around the UK are getting more diverse and quite quickly. And so either you get the correct CPD and you understand this, so you know how to start on the ground properly, or you can ignore it, but it's not going to go away, you know, which is what a lot of schools do. They'll ignore it and they'll have it, some EAL intervention work, which is okay. You can do that. But actually, we are a global community here. We're working in a way, we're working globally now. And in the race to languages, we are behind.
Yeah.
We are behind, but if we include our pupils' languages, we wouldn't be behind. If we let them learn with their languages, they wouldn't be behind. So we need to stop creating monolingual children. What we're doing at primary is we're stripping them of their languages and saying, okay, then in secondary, become a bilingual now. Learn another
Ah, that's
language.
true. Yeah, you say don't speak your home language, so then they become monolingual, and then you add them a random language that they might not have any contact with. Like, yeah.
But because this was me, Yoshito, I spoke English at school, Urdu at home, went to secondary, learnt French. Didn't think I was very good at French. My GCSE was okay. And I still considered myself monolingual because no one had told me Urdu mattered. So all of these things, we are creating monolingual mindsets, which is why I said people should look at the WAM-CAM research. It's really important. It's about multilingual mindsets and the impact it has on GCSE results, just having a different mindset, not even if you're proficient, just having a mindset of a multilingual.
Okay.
Multilingual mindset, which is where we changed multilingualism in the emotional health curriculum. And they have resources, they have PowerPoints on being multilingual. So it's really important just people realizing, oh, actually, I have a mindset where I think I'm monolingual, so that they understand, actually, I need to change my mindset. Because we're all listening to it, watching programs, we're listening to music in different languages, we're seeing it everywhere. Our neighbors speak a language, we have relatives and friends that speak different languages. You can recognize when someone's speaking Italian or Romanian or
Yeah.
Portuguese, you can tell, right? You can know some words. So we just open and change your mind and be fluid with your languages. But we have a very wrong mindset that I have to be fluent and speak like a native speaker to say I'm a bilingual, and that's not
Mm,
true.
yeah. Yeah. And so we talk a lot about multilingualism. One pushback I hear a lot is so I think you said in your school there is 40% or 50% of students who speak different languages.
No, it's much more than that. But I said those that can't maybe not access the lesson fully. I said 40,
Ah,
but
okay.
actually those that are multilingual, I would say we are really high, possibly 90% now,
Okay.
quite high. We have a very few children who are, we have a small group of children that are born and brought up here that do have multilingual relatives, that do have languages spoken, but maybe themselves they're monolingual.
Okay. And
Um,
yeah, because the pushback I hear a lot is we do all these things for multilingual children. What about the monolingual ones? Aren't we ignoring them or making them feel bad because they don't have all these languages? What would you say to that?
I would say that again, it's the mindset because even monolingual children should be exposed and should be learning other languages,
Yeah. And would
right?
yeah.
So even the fact of BSL is a language, emojis, communication. If you look at the WAM-CAM research, they look at all types of communication as in a multilingual mindset. So actually, even a monolingual family, and I have people that are born and brought up in the UK, possibly like myself, that have languages spoken from their relatives, but don't consider themselves, oh, no, I'm a monolingual, like I did
Okay, yeah.
before. I thought I was more monolingual than bilingual because I wasn't proficient. It's just your mindset. And then you have people that I still remember when we have language clubs and then different languages at my school. And an Urdu club, even recently, last year, there's a little English girl called Martha. She was going to Urdu club
Oh, yeah.
and she'd come to cover her class on a Thursday. And so she'd come and share her numbers and Aap kaisi ho, Miss Amin. It's like, how are you, Miss Amin? And I loved it, but that comes from her parents who are open to languages. She is picking up languages all
Ah,
the
that's
time
right.
and they have a multilingual mindset. And then
Yeah,
you
I
might
think
have
that
parents who are resistant to it. So actually, what is your mindset in this?
ah,
Because everybody benefits from languages.
yeah,
You're not excluding children. You're literally just changing people's mindsets into being open to all languages.
yeah,
So no one's being excluded here, but actually what we are doing for your children is inviting them into a language-rich environment so they can see all languages are equal. They can see how languages work. If you use Wallo in your curriculum, you can see how languages are working. You can see there's language families. I mean, even the UK having English, and then you have Welsh, Gaelic, Scots. You've got the Celtic languages, the history with, of how different languages are brought to the UK, how French was born, the different Romance languages, we're all connected. So they're all connected. They all have a history. So it's really important actually that children see this and know this because they're part of a big linguistic tree. English is as well. So we need to know this.
Yeah, and I think yeah, when we put a monolingual child in a multilingual environment, then they become curious. It's not like you impose on them to learn a language. They want to learn different
Absolutely.
languages and they become curious. So
Yeah. So
it
isn't it better to
yeah,
have children that are curious and are exposed to languages and are mimicking their friends and are using different phrases in different languages so that they are ready to learn languages? Because that's what languages is about. We have a pot of languages, like different words in different languages. We don't have separate languages.
yeah,
I think we've all been taught the wrong way. That's what I thought. I thought there was an Urdu me and an English me, and then there was a
yeah,
French me, which I couldn't really get. But it's not true. We're taught
yeah,
really badly. So we just need to change how we expose and how we teach languages and make it easier for everybody to enjoy and play with words and have
yeah,
fun with languages rather than making it so prescriptive that everybody gets. I mean, just recently I was doing a teacher training and a Somali girl who is Somali and half Bengali, half Somali, spoke to me that she feels upset because she can't speak Bengali. And she said, I try to teach myself, I'm trying to learn the vocabulary, but it's not. I said, why are you not having fun with Bengali? I said, why are you being so strict on yourself? Listen, watch movies in Bengali, listen to songs in Bengali,
yeah.
learn some lyrics that you enjoy rather than making it so prescriptive. And I think that's what we've made it. We made it into quite a scary thing. Like if you learn a language, you need to know the grammar properly and you need to know the keywords, you need to know the grammar order. So I can't access that language.
But I think that also comes from relatives. Sometimes,
Yeah.
when you don't speak really well your
Yeah.
language, there are some who can be very supportive and listen to you patiently when you're struggling to find the words, and others who can say, you don't say it that way, and who can be mocking. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're all giving these wrong messages around languages. But yeah, I just think we need to have more fun with them. The more fun we can have in primary schools, the better we're setting children up to have a good base of understanding
yeah,
languages for secondary.
that's true. Yeah. I'm just going to read you a comment from Dr. Ang, who was one of the people I interviewed yesterday, but who is following us. And she says, "What a profound conversation. In cognitive coaching with teachers, we talk about how thinking mediates behavior. I love your emphasis on the power of multilingual mindset."
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us, and I thank you for your input. It's nice to hear. I would never say that I have it right, and I'm always learning. And I think over these years, it's changed a lot. Um, but yeah, I do think the mindset is the most powerful thing in this. I
And
agree
we
with you.
have a comment from Franklin as well, encouraging us who says, "We need more teachers like you, Soofia. Thank you for your work and your resilience."
Oh, thank you so much, Franklin. I really appreciate that. I do feel like we have a long way to go, but I think the more we can have these open conversations, and they're difficult. They're really difficult
Uh,
sometimes, Ishito. I get to go to schools and they want me to fix the EAL data, for example. So I'll go
what
to a
do you mean to
second.
fix the
So like,
EAL
oh, the
data?
EAL data, we have this many EAL children and then the data for writing is low. It's because of the EAL pupils. So Sophia, could you help us with writing strategies? And yes, I can help with writing strategies, but what is the approach to these pupils? What are they allowed to do? Are they using their languages to understand how that influences their English? I still remember when it comes to writing, we had a girl who just joined us from India, Gujarati, and she was reading, writing English and Gujarati, but in English was making mistakes because Gujarati is a stronger language. So the teacher was
Yeah,
amazing because she realized this, spoke to me, coached her, got her to use her home language to understand the comprehension text and see where the words were missing from her home language in English. So this child, so
ah,
when it comes to trans language, just going back to the beginning of the session, I talked about getting children to understand how to use their languages. As teachers, we cannot trans language for you.
yeah,
Okay, we can coach children. We are like coaching children to use their languages. We are there to support them and say, hey, use your languages, your resources to understand this. Use your background knowledge, your cultural knowledge to understand this context. They might have gaps when it comes to countryside. Fine, so we can show them countryside pictures and
yeah,
words linked to countryside. Or they might have words that they can bring in that are related. I still remember we had a Roma boy once in year six and we were doing, I think it was they were doing Vikings or something, and he was a farmer. Like in Romania, he does farming.
Ah,
So
okay.
actually, he had a lot to offer the class when it came to, I mean, he was showing us how to start a fire. He was showing
Really?
us, the
Oh,
teacher
wow.
realized the hook, and then the teacher started getting him to bring in that cultural knowledge into the classroom because that was his hook. He was a farmer. So actually, what is the cultural context of that child? What can they bring into their learning? And then where are the gaps? That's where we help out. But without that, saying that the EL data is low and oh, we need to teach them a bit more English, absolutely, they need the context in English, but then also you need to see what are their resources that they can bring into that learning? Are you using that? Are you helping them? Are you coaching them through that?
Thank you very much. And because you talked about like you're coaching other schools, I was wondering if a school wants some workshops from you, is there a way they can contact you, or what's the best way to contact
Yeah,
you?
I mean, you can share my email. Usually tell you have my email. You can share my email on your
Okay.
website if you want, my LinkedIn, more than welcome to just contact me. So I
Oh yeah,
deliver
I think
CPD for
yeah.
schools, training. I can do staff training for schools as well, or just come in and do one-to-one sessions to see what's happening in the school, help you start it with the right approach. But
Okay.
yeah, thank you so much. It's been so nice. Just hearing comments as well from your listeners and to know what people think. Because I said it's nice when we all agree, but actually the real work is when you speak to people that don't understand.
Yeah,
This
that's
is where
true.
we
Yeah.
need to have these difficult conversations and we need to, I have to be really, so I sound like I'm really confident, but it's really hard sometimes to go into a school when you're a bit scared because you just think, oh, especially when there's a very embedded culture of monolingualism. One standout moment I came when I went to a private school once. They called me in, and they're very multilingual. A lot of the children are children of delegates, so they are wealthy children. They go home a lot to their countries, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Spain, Turkey, different countries. They have nannies. And the school was saying to me, and it was, and I really value schools when they talk to me openly and they were being honest with me. We value all these children's languages. They're amazing. But, they've got nannies who speak different languages. They go home a lot. So because of that, we can't get rid of their accents.
Ah,
And so you have Russian accents. They were asking me how to get rid of accents. And already, so that mindset, it's difficult, Ishita, because,
yeah. This
you
question
know,
shows what they pay attention to. Oh,
and
that
so,
yeah.
I had to work with, we were looking at planning. So I worked, with teachers different ways in the day. Then in the evening, in the afternoon, I did a CPD for staff. And the CPD for staff, I shared the research around multilingualism, multilingual approach, multilingual this, and what that means. And I'll never forget this moment. There's something I always talk about. That head teacher came to me at the end and she said to me, Soofia, I think we got something wrong. I
Ah,
realize now that our approach to languages, we don't celebrate, like I realize, she said, because parents will hide their languages to us because we are not using these languages in the correct way.
that's such a powerful
Yeah. But
feedback.
you don't know how it's going to go, right? But that was really special for me because I thought that's the point that we,
There's the light bulb in their head.
yeah.
Is yeah.
Yeah, because that's when you can make meaningful change then in school. I can go and give them adaptive tasks and show them teachers what to do, but we're still just embedding wrong culture into not supporting these children's identity into school.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you
Okay.
so much for your time. We're getting close to 1 hour, so we're going to start wrapping up. But is there any last message you would like to give to, I guess, mainly teachers who are watching us, but it could be to parents as well?
I would say inform yourself if you're not sure what you believe. It's okay if you have some wrong beliefs or you feel like English should be the only thing spoken. Be honest about it and really read things that will challenge your thinking. So be open to reading and asking those awkward questions. And then I would say invite the school leadership team to look into their approach first. So invite the school leadership to look at, share some research with them or invite them to open that discussion. Because once the leadership understand, then everything can change in a school. Okay,
Thank you
so
very
my thing would be to inform yourself and then hopefully share something with the leadership team, and hopefully that will spark something. You'll be part of something that will spark a change in that setting.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
And so in about 15 minutes, I'm going to be doing a session on my own this time.
Oh,
And because
exciting.
I'm going to be talking about the different initiatives we started in my school. And also because I feel like you were saying at the beginning, you felt that you were on your own and you're trying to build like a team and make it bigger than just you.
Yeah,
And that's a bit what I'm trying to do. And I'm doing this session mainly because there's some teachers who said, I've I know about translanguaging. I want to do it in my school and I want to expand it. So I guess we've had some loads of experts who are quite far ahead on the journey. So hopefully I'm going to be able to give you the first few steps to start on this journey. And because my approach has been, how can I motivate children and staff to be curious about cultures and languages, not to impose things because I can't on
yeah,
my own,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
how to motivate them. So if you're interested, I invite you to join me in about
Absolutely.
20 minutes.
Yeah, can I
So
just, sorry, just one thing which I've just thought of, and I
yeah,
just want to just say one more thing, sorry.
yeah, I know that's right. Yeah.
Because on your journey, I completely understand. And one thing that helps is if one teacher can do with one child some translanguaging practice, take photos of it and share it with staff.
Yeah,
Take a journey. So have a child, and this is really impactful for sharing a message, and track their journey with translanguaging. So when they first joined or at the beginning of English and with their home language, take pictures of their work, take pictures of their, and then over the year, you'll see that it transform. And that is a really powerful message for a school to see, your whole school to see, because then they will look at that and say, oh my goodness, I want to try that in my class.
that's
Okay.
true. It takes time, but if you document it,
It
then
is
it can show the
important.
journey.
Absolutely. So I completely did miss this point, but actually, if you're starting at your school, a really impactful message is showing a child's journey as a case study and pictures with it.
Ah,
And best of
thank you
luck,
very much for
Yashika, for your
this tip.
session. I look forward to it.
Thank you. See you, everyone. Thank you for those of you who are following and commenting. Bye, everyone.